Hi guys, welcome back to This African Perspective. There are some people actually making a rant about it and saying that they do wish that there's more of like public transportations, and these public transportations are, very accessible and actually in a very, more affordable amount for people to use. So not everybody can, or not everybody will definitely need a car to go to live in some places, because we know there are a lot of places that you definitely need a car to live in the US, and it is not the same with other countries, as there are also a lot of cities that do not have walkable environments. Like most times it's just cars upon cars upon cars. You cannot just even randomly say you're going for a walk. You literally do not really see a lot of people out, which is different in some places. In some different countries out there, you see a lot of public transportations, and some people are actually just ranting and saying the benefits that it has and why they find that not having it is really bad. But anyways guys, before we get right into this video, make sure you please click the like button. It really helps with the algorithm and I appreciate that so much. Okay, let's get right into it.
Something that Americans don't realize is abnormal is that your government is supposed to be providing you with public transportation. I went from paying $500 per month to get around my city in America to paying $10 per month abroad. The government is supposed to be using our tax dollars to provide us with good public transportation. But instead they push car dependency because they are the ones monopolizing the oil and gas industry. Every other developed nation has some form of adequate public transportation, but our government forces us to take part in one of the top 5 leading causes of death in America just because they don't want to provide public transportation. The only way you can get around is by car, and cars nowadays cost anywhere between like $10,000 to $50,000 for an adequate vehicle. You have to pay so much money in gas, hundreds every single month. You have to pay hundreds for insurance, hundreds for a car payment. You have to pay hundreds, thousands for repairs every year. Like, it's so much money. It doesn't even bring you a return on your investment, because the second you buy it and drive it off the lot, it's lost half its value and then keeps depreciating from there. Not only that, but it makes our infrastructure look like crap. And then there's this notion that if you don't have a car or you don't have a license, then you're viewed at as like a loser or something. And before people start coming in my comments like, oh, what about New York? What about New England? You know darn well that the majority of America has zero public transportation. Oh, well, it's because America's too big. America is roughly the same size as Europe, except in Europe, they actually have public transportation. And not only that, but they have to have international cooperation in order to create and maintain it too. America has the money and resources to provide the whole country with public transportation, but they profit off of keeping us car dependent.
Car enthusiasts should actually be the biggest supporters of public transportation. When people say they like driving, they often mean a great car on a great road, someplace like this. But the more people that drive, the worse the experience gets, which is why even car advertisements show empty roads in the middle of cities. For most people, driving looks like this, and that's no surprise, as most US cities offer few options besides driving. One US study shows 80% of people feel like they have no other choice besides driving. Within cities, cars are just not an efficient use of space. This is 60 people in cars, 60 people on a bus, and 60 people on bicycles. Think of it this way, when you give people who don't want to drive the option not to, you remove more cars from the road. This means a better experience for those who want to drive, and better options for those who don't. It's a situation where everyone is happier.
Hi, I'm a car guy, and I absolutely hate our car-centric society. Now, why do I hate our car-centric society if I'm a car guy, you may ask? Well, there's a lot of issues when it comes to having a car-centric society. A lot of them mainly being that you have people on the road and people buying vehicles who use them as a necessity and less as a privilege. And I genuinely do believe that a lot of vehicles should just be a privilege. So before I continue, I need to clarify a few things. Number one, I understand that the US is a difficult part of the world to have a non-car centric society, specifically because we have a lot of rural areas. But I'm not talking about the rural areas. I'm strictly talking about metropolitans as well as actual smaller-ish towns. Towns around like 20,000 people. You see, those areas, why do you need a car? Why have we made it so that people living in those areas have to have a car as a necessity? You see, one country that doesn't have a car-centric society is Japan. Japan does this concept very well, where they have walkable communities. as well as implementing ways for people who don't need cars to not have cars, and the people who do need cars, specifically people living in rural areas, do have access to vehicles. So, why should you as a car person be for a non-car-centric society? Why should you as a car person be for walkable community? The biggest reason why you as a car guy should love walkable communities is because there'd be less people on the road. That means less people to hurt you and your car, and less people who are idiots who don't actually know how to drive, who are just driving from point A to point B to and from work. Number 2, it would make manufacturers realize that the enthusiast market is bigger than they suspect, and it would force manufacturers to make vehicles that are meant for a purpose, less than vehicles that are just meant to get from point A to point B. AKA, there'd be a lot less crossover. And number 3, me as a car guy, I don't want to have to drive everywhere I need to go. I don't want to have to drive to Target to buy milk. Why do I have to drive to Target to buy milk when it's literally 100 feet away? Living in a walkable community, I could run down to Target if I needed something quick. I wouldn't have to use my vehicle. I could actually keep my vehicles in storage if I needed to. Oh my gosh, I could keep it in the garage and only take it out on weekends and have less wear and tear on my vehicle in general. So yes, you as a car person, you should be for walkable community. Plus, walkable communities just make the world a better place.
Honestly, there are a lot of people who live in some places that it's like, if you really do not have any car, it's going to be a very big challenge for you. It's going to cost you a lot. And it is nice to actually have many like walkable places, walkable cities, and also to have public transportations, like, you know, be in some places where you see a lot of taxis. You can just, you know, get out of your house and the next thing you just see, you know, some taxi moving around and you just hop in, because that is how it is in some places, and those countries are actually doing well. Like, it's not a situation where it's like, oh, if there are a bunch of taxis, if there are a bunch of, you know, affordable, you know, buses, trains in many cities around the US, oh, that's gonna make it a lower world country or something like that. And it's like, no, not really. Like, there are a lot of countries that are doing well and have that. So it will be great and it will be nice. And also having a walkable city is very, very good, because then you walk around and it will be like a little bit more of community, because then you see a lot of people while you guys take walks, you do activities where you can get to places and do stuff and walk, and it helps with you exercising, because then you don't always have to rely on cars to actually, you know, go to places and get around. And you see a lot of people actually tend to lose weight and get exercise and be a little bit more healthy.
I walk 3 to 5 miles 5 times a week, which is a big...
Walking regularly is one of the best ways to keep people healthy as they age. And America does not build cities that are conducive for you to easily and regularly walk. We spend most of our time traveling in cars, right? Here is a list of life expectancy by country. America's not up here. We're way down here at 47. We're actually the third united. The United Kingdom, the United Arab Emirates are both having higher life expectancy. But something you'll notice about many of the top 20 are that they're extremely walkable areas. Hong Kong, Macau, Japan, Switzerland, Singapore, Italy, South Korea, Spain. Now, it's not a perfect correlation or anything, but walking is good. Doesn't hurt that the American diet, or at least standard American diet, isn't that great for you either. But building cities for our citizens that make it easily and accessible to walk regularly as you age is fantastic. Do you love your family? Do you love yourself? Fight for walkable cities.
Have you ever wondered why public transit in the US sucks so much, and how we lack an advanced rail system like every other developed country? Essentially, it's because of the aggressive business tactics and effective lobbying of automotive and oil companies. First, read about the General Motors streetcar conspiracy. This is where GM and a few other companies bought up public transit businesses, bled them dry, and then dismantled them. Then read about the effectiveness of highway lobbying. This is where oil and some automotive companies successfully lobbied Congress to pass infrastructure bills that only provided funding for highways, and they aggressively opposed any other forms of transit.
I used to live in Los Angeles, and it's a car-centric city. You need a car to get around there. If you don't have a car, it is extremely difficult. And it's not the only city in America like that. There are a lot of unwalkable cities, and there's a reason for it. Basically, these private companies, automobile companies, and also airline companies pretty much lobby for the existence of cars and airplanes to take over travel in the United States. I'm not gonna name names, because I don't want to get in trouble. Car culture is so ingrained in our society that some people don't even notice it as a problem anymore. It's just like the status quo. Basically, automobile companies, they're these private entities, lobby for the existence of highways, for the existence of parking lots. When you are a person without a lot of money and you have a car, and you need to have a car in situations like this, it's obviously a burden. First of all, you have to pay for the car or pay for a loan on the car, which, you know, increases your debt. Then you have to pay for insurance and you have to pay for parking in a lot of places. Public parking lots are huge. Think about how much space parking lots take up in the United States. For registration, for new license plates. There's overall just costs associated with having a car. It is a lot easier not to have a car. Infrastructure of the United States makes it easier to have a car. There's also this stigma attached to public transportation socially, which I think is also an inherent structural issue. You just gotta think about where the money lies and who's doing the lobbying. My phone decided to quit on me, but that's really the end of my rant as I was getting ready. Just know that everything's on purpose. Private companies do things that will benefit them.
And not a lot of people know how to drive. Some people really fear driving a lot and do not like driving. So being able to just, you know, access any like public vehicle that is able to drive you to places continuously. You don't even have to ever own a car. You don't have to. Some people do not want to have all those car payments or do not have the money to buy cars, and they might just, you know, have some daily money where they can use to pay for this public transportation.
The least walkable cities in America. Number 10 is Indianapolis with a walk score of 31. Number 9 is Anchorage, Alaska, with a walk score of 31, which is honestly seems a little high. Like, I mean, I don't know. To me, it sort of looks like most of their city limits is like impassable frozen mountains, but filled with bears. Number 8 is Durham, North Carolina, with a walk score of 30. Number 7 is Henderson, Nevada, also with a walk score of 30. It's a suburb of Las Vegas. Number 6 is Greensboro, North Carolina, with a walk score of 29. Number 5, Nashville, Tennessee, with a walk score of 29. Number 4 is Charlotte, North Carolina, with a walk score of 26. This is the third time that North Carolina has appeared on this list. Number 3 is Jacksonville, Florida, with a walk score of 26. Really earning that bronze medal. Like, look at how little green there is on that map. They really said, oops, all suburbs. Number 2 is Winston-Salem, North Carolina, with a score of 22. And number 1, the city with the lowest walk score out of all of those measured is Chesapeake, Virginia, with a walk score of 21. But it just seems that there's something missing from this list. I wonder... Yes, I know. Let's look at cities over 1 million in population. Ah, yes. The 4th largest city in the country, Houston, Texas, has a walk score of 47. Dallas, not much less, 46. The city of Las Vegas doesn't have 1 million people in it, but I felt like including it. It has a 42. Phoenix has a 41. But for some reason, the worst large city over 1 million people in population was San Antonio, with a walk score of 37. My guess for this is that San Antonio has been cursed to carry the burden of all its suburbs within its city limits, so that drags down the score significantly.
Can somebody explain to me how America is such a girl-centric country, but all of the drivers are bad everywhere I go? Shitstorm! I go to big city, bad drivers, small towns. Hey, the suburbs? All of them are war criminals! All of them. Every single day, millions of Americans get in their cars and they violate the Geneva Suggestions. Don't sass me, liberal. I understand why you can't have public transportation. It's a very nuanced, complicated subject. But you are called the United States of America. Can you be united or not trying to kill people when you are driving? And I am not trying to act like other countries are better than America. Because in France, at least the bad drivers are all in the big cities. You go anywhere else, it's fine. In Semarang, in Indonesia, when I lived in Semarang, it was understandable why there were bad drivers, because honestly, Asia is just like playing Mario Kart. There's going to be random shit crossing the streets. I was once in a traffic jam because there was a cow crossing the road, but at least I could say, "Hello, atia," to the cows as I was sitting in traffic. When I am in America, I see war crimes being committed on the streets. I just saw somebody drive on the sidewalk. The sidewalk that is for walking. It is on this side for a reason.
Every time I make a video on ending car-dependent infrastructure, people always say the same thing. It's that they like to drive their car. My brother in Christ, this is a mixed-use neighborhood. There is no lack of cars. Non-car-dependent infrastructure actually benefits people that would still want to drive, because it makes it to where people that don't want to drive don't have to drive. And cars are terrible at transporting people, so every car off the road actually benefits you drastically.
If there's a lot of public transportation and many people, then many people would actually, there will be lesser people who are paying for car insurance. There will be less amount of people who are paying for their for taxes on their cars. There will be so many less people doing so many things, and it will be a lot of more people being in the car, and you know, the gas, the oil and gas, all those stuff. So at the end of the day, it's all by design. It's more about your money being taken by all means. It's more about them. It's like there's just so many people working to get profits. Hey guys, that's it for this video. Thank you for watching this video to the end. Please don't forget to click the like button and subscribe to the channel if you're watching me for the very first time. And also leave your thoughts in the comment section down below. I would really love to see what you think about this video. I'll see you on the next one. Bye.